Thank you, everyone, for staying with us. Our first conversation we are putting on the road real quick, so we can use it as a medium to look at where Nigeria is today in terms of our democratic experience. Also use that as a basis to assess whether or not we have done well for ourselves as a government, as a people, or as an economy. It's very important we do that, especially in light of all the challenges we're grappling with today as a national entity. I'm joined by Abdul Wahab Ekehide, Public Affairs Analyst. I'm sure I got your second name right.
Yes, Ekehide.
Ekehide. Thank you for coming this Tuesday morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so let's talk about Nigeria's democracy. Some people say it's nascent democracy. Is that correct?
At 25? No, at 25. Good morning, Nigerians. Let me start. At 25, we can no longer call ourselves nascent because at 18, you're already an adult. So you take full responsibilities
For your life.
for whatever you do to yourselves and to the society. So nascent, no, Nigeria can no longer be called a nascent democracy. We are a full-blown democracy in Nigeria right now. At 25 years, yes, we can call ourselves nascent.
It's interesting, but let's talk about the transition that happened in 1999.
Yes.
Some people say it was hurriedly done, and they say that has also become a factor in as being part of the problems that we are having today. Is that true?
Well, if you say so, yes. If you know that the military actually never wanted to leave the seat of power. There was a lot of pressure that drove, I would say they were hurriedly. They weren't prepared to actually hand over at the race. If you remember the days of Abacha, he even formed political parties. He formed two, and he wanted to transform himself to even the civilian president of this country. Right. We are here. So the military were actually not really ready to say, let us leave. But because of pressure from within and outside the country, they had to actually hurriedly leave. And you see, that is why if you look at the 1999 Constitution, it's just a combination of different constitutions we have had, and they still put that unitary kind of system where you give all the powers to the man at the head of the hem of affairs. And that is actually a challenge to us. And one of the proponents and advocates of the fact that our constitution is our challenge we have in this country. And if we want to move ahead, you see this panel beating here and there will solve the problem.
By panel beating, you're talking about the amendments.
Amend here, amend this one, amend that. And just one mistake of amendment can render the whole amendment useless. If you remember the days of Senator Ken Amani at the time of Obasanjo, there were very good amendments that would be made. But because of the clause of third term, the whole amendment died. You understand? So I will advocate that, look, let us truly have a constitution that is truly Nigerian. That is why you say, because the preamble of the constitution says, we the people. When did we sit as a people? The constitution we are using now was written by the military. So it is high time that we write a democratic constitution where people will be brought together like a sovereign conference, or if you like, call it a constitutional conference, and then people will be brought from different parts of this country. Let us agree. The first question we should ask ourselves, do we want to be one Nigeria? Because that's a challenge, because you are hearing some separatists, they want to leave. Do we want to leave? Do we want to be one Nigeria? If we agree that yes, we want to be one Nigeria, then we cannot ask ourselves, how do we want to live with ourselves? And then we put it down. That will now be a true constitution written by the people, even though everybody cannot come to sit, but people will be represented, even from the local government.
Are you advocating a referendum?
Yes. Yes. That's exactly what we should do. So that I tell you, okay, you had about 30-something lawmakers yesterday. They are coming with a proposal. And if you look at that proposal, they are beautiful. It's a beautiful proposal, because looking at the kind of diversity we have in this country and people complaining of marginalization, I think that idea they are bringing us, in fact, that was even discussed at the 2014 COFAB,
right,
National COFAB, and they have a consensus. They agreed that, okay, let's have a single term for president.
But people at that time said it was former President Jonathan who was being selfish about it.
Well, if you look at the way Nigeria is today, a particular region have been agitating for the fact that they want to be president of this country, and they have not been given. And so, but if you make it rotational between north and south and within the geopolitical zones, Each zone will know that at a particular time it is our turn. Though there will be no more agitation, there will be no room to say, oh, we are being marginalized, because everybody now knows at a particular point it will get to your turn. So just go and be preparing yourself so that you bring out the best amongst you to go there and represent you. Because I tell you, the first person that will start it, if he sets a good record in terms of performance, you will see that no region, no zone will want to go below. So it will be competitive between each zone, that when so-so zone was in power, things happen, this happen. You can refer back to our regional government. Till tomorrow, they are talking about the Western region. Because of the way late Chief Obafemi Awolowo of blessed memory, governed the Western region. Today, they are still reaping from it. If you check Nigeria today, the highest educated people in this country are from the West, because of the educational revolution of our sage, late Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Until tomorrow, people are still following those footsteps and legacies he left behind. So I would think that I am going to join the legislators to also advocate for what they are talking about. It is good. And you saw what they said about the electoral reform. They also made some proposal as to how to strengthen our electoral processes. And they said one of them is that now all our elections should be electronically transmitted.
100%.
100%. There will be no ambiguity in the law, that it will be 100% transmitted. And any result announced that is not in conformity with the result transmitted, then that result should be, and that person who does that should be jailed for 7 years without no option of file. I like that part of it. And then that even to file petition, that the INEC is bound to give you the certified true copies of the result 14 days after the election. It is time bound, so that people don't go and file petition. They now call to say you are out of time. You understand? Those are very germane issues.
They also said that all elections should be, they recommend
it should be 1 day.
1 day.
Should be held in 1 day.
Is that a step in the right direction?
That is the one that might be contested. That point to say all elections should be held in 1 day might be contested. The question you ask yourself, do we have the capacity in terms of even the security? You saw what's happening. Even during elections, people are being killed. And even at polling unit levels, the policeman that is deployed to that polling unit level is not with a gun, neither is he even with a baton.
Right.
So if there are crises, the man that wants to come and disrupt the election is coming with guns. And when he gets there, the police will also run for their lives, because the uniform he's wearing is not bulletproof. You understand? So he will run for his life because he has nothing to defend himself. And and I tell you, greatest challenge we have with our security, they don't have, seamless communication within and amongst themselves. You can be here now, your next policeman is there, but you can't communicate to him. There are no communication guidance. They don't have that. You say our police, they are just moving bare. No communication. So you cannot even tell the next policeman, oh, I'm in danger. No, they don't, so that you can get reinforcement. So these are some of the challenges. And I think that government should look at these issues. The House of Reps, the Speaker, all of them. Because when they read out the name, all the political parties are there in those that are making this proposal. APC are there, PDP are there, Labour Party, all of them. They are all. So it means that there's a form of unity, there's a form of consensus that, yes, this needs to be done. And they are also speaking the minds of the Nigerian people. Based on the report of the 2014 confab, there are some very important resolutions that were met during that confab that we need to implement.
Are you disappointed that, even though that report has been on for 10 years now, it was in 2014, former President Jonathan was in office. Are you disappointed that the former president could not at least make an effort, from what we know, to implement at least maybe part of it?
If I tell you I'm not disappointed, then I might just be beating around the bush. Honestly, I was disappointed. If I am president and I come up with a national confab and the report is before me, a white paper has even been brought up for it, even if I have 1 day, I will start implementation. Because that's why we are where we are. If President Goodluck Jonathan has started the process of people say, okay, let's start from the basis, the easiest one. Let's start.
What they call the low-hanging fruit.
Yes, let's start from there. Let the next president come and say, no, but it will be on record that you did a confab and you started implementation. You cannot do a confab and you are still in power and you keep the report on the ground. It wasn't right. I must tell you, I was disappointed.
Let's talk about, I mean, we can't have this conversation and not talk about INEC. It's been since 1999, INEC has evolved, one national chairman after the other. Justice Ephraim Akpata, blessed memory, Dr. Iba Gobadia, blessed memory, Professor Maurice Iwu, Professor Atahiru Jega, and now another Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. Let's talk about the evolution of INEC and the pivotal role the Commission has played in our electoral process till date.
Now, if you want to assess INEC, and you put on your lens and look at INEC, you cannot dispute the fact that INEC has improved. If you remember those days, in the early democracy, 1999, once you are loyal to a godfather, it's just to say you are the next governor, and that's it. Or you are the next senator, and that's it. You are the next local government chairman, House of Rep. That was it. They just sit in their rooms and write the names and submit, and INEC would just go and announce. And then there was a time where people would come and just carry the ballot box. On the voting day, people are on the queue. Somebody will come, some group of people, they will pick the ballot box, take it somewhere, stuff it, and that is the ballot box that INEC would take and announce. We're all in this country. But with the introduction of technology, starting from Professor Atahiru Jega, when he brought out the card reader, some of these things reduce. And then Professor Mahmoud has gone further to now bring about what you call what do you call
the
it?
beavers.
The beavers. Now, you can see that and that's why people are beginning to have some kind of confidence, because you saw the 2023 election. Some people who were not ordinarily couldn't have been in the house or even be elected are there. Why? Because of the process of the electoral. Yes, it's not complete, it's not 100%. There's still room for improvement, but I can tell you that INEC has evolved and it has improved. And that we just need to build on what is, and that is why the National Assembly comes in to bring in more legislation that will strengthen INEC. We'll be talking about unbundling INEC. Let's unbundle INEC, because the responsibility, the job of INEC is so much that, and INEC do not have the power to even prosecute anybody, except first a policeman will arrest you and now charge you to court on an electoral crisis, and INEC will come either as a defender or as a prosecutor. Now, these are the challenges. If INEC can be given the powers, can be truly, our name is very beautiful, Independent National Electoral Commission. How independent is INEC? And then if you go back and look at the State Independent Electoral Commission, have you not observed that in any state that any party is the governor, when they do local government election, they have 100%. All the local government chairmen, all the ward councillors will belong to one party. That is unacceptable. That is not democracy.
So is it logical to say it's because that party is popular in that state?
No, that's not the point. Let me tell you, no matter how popular a party is, let me tell you, you can win at the national level. But that's why, the challenge I have with some of our political parties is that any political party that is formed, that's not the way. In some other climes, there are parties that control at the local level. You go to local level, they are the chairman, they are the councillor. That's where they operate. And they are giving the dividends of democracy to their people.
At those levels?
At those levels. You understand? So even when you want to win at the national level, you have to come down to discuss with them. To say, please, we need your support. They know they are not your party member, but they know they are not going to president. They can form this, okay, we'll support you. And they give you their vote. That's how elections, that's how democracies are run. No one party can say, okay, I will run everything. And that is where we are having the challenges, because every governors are truly part of the challenges we are having for our democracy not to thrive, honestly. Because the way they behave, if any president behaves like the way governors behave, you can imagine a local government chairman that passed through the electoral process, was elected by his people. A governor will come and say, I dissolve them. Somebody that is elected just like you are elected, you now say you dissolve them. That is unconstitutional. It is undemocratic. It is not good for our development of our democracy.
It's not because there's a loophole in the Constitution that we have that reality.
Where did I start from? I said the challenge we have is our constitution.
So the governors are exploiting it.
They are exploiting, yes. When you call a lawyer, they will tell you here, and then they exploit it. It is the exploitation of the loopholes in our constitution, the gaps, that is causing this dwindling democracy that we are operating.
Do you think it's a fundamental error that the president has the prerogative to appoint the chairman of INEC?
Because of the system of government we are running. You know, sometimes you realize that we even missed our system together. Tomorrow we are saying, okay, we are running a presidential system. Then you say yourself a republic. You know, you just mix up a lot of things in one. You understand? Now, if we are running a constitutional, I heard the president say we are running a constitutional government. Yes, okay, if we are running a constitutional government and we want to follow the presidential system like the US we are copying, you will realize that, yes, the president should appoint the chief judge, the chief justice of the federation. It should, or they should even appoint the INEC chairman, you know, through processes. It should, but what we are saying, in electing, we can tweak our laws. In appointing the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, it must not be left for government alone. Civil society should be involved because that person must be put through scrutiny to know that does this person have integrity? It doesn't matter who nominates, but does he have the integrity? And if, for instance, the civil society, the media, so many other groups brought together and say, no, this man does not have the capacity based on his past record, he cannot truly be unbiased. You understand? Because I tell you, we have principled people in this country. People you will give positions and they will live by the details and mandates of their office. We have them. But unfortunately, we patronize ourselves based on political interest and just to empower my own people. And that's the challenge we have had. The last administration, people were shouting, oh, Tinubu Buhari was giving all the appointment to his people. Today, people are also shouting that the current president is giving the appointment to his people.
Lagos boys.
You understand that he's giving the appointment to his people. So, if you look at it, for me, if you say this is a federation, then things should be balanced. Things actually needs to be balanced. Our democracy cannot grow when people feel marginalized, when people feel not carried along, when people are not truly involved in the administrative or in the governance of the country. You see, because ideas are diverse. The ideas you have are different from what I have. And if you have tried people around you and you have not getting the result, then why not try others? Because we thought by May 29th, or after then, there will be a rejig of the ministerial cabinet of Mr. President. Because, of course, if you look where, you will see that there are some ministers that will come now, pass you on the way, you don't even know them.
Why? Because they're not
Because they are not making impact. We are not seeing them. Yes, because nobody will say he doesn't know that we can. And if you live in Abuja, you know that there's a minister here. Of course, you know, because there are a lot of things you can see. And then you see, but there are some ministers, they are just talking, they are not doing anything. If you check our roads, you see that the Minister of Works is actually doing some things. You will see. You know, and if you look around, if you check the Ministry of Interior, you will see and hear some of the things he's also doing. You understand? I listened to the Minister of Transportation the other day. I was disappointed, honestly. I never even knew he was Minister of Transportation because I don't even till now, I can't remember his name. You know, so I'm talking about us who are here in the city and we're lighting. What about the people at the grassroots? You don't know your ministers because they are not performing. If they are performing, you know them. You will know them, even by name. Children will know them. In schools, they know their ministers. But if you go to any class now, just as people in primary 3 say, oh, who is the minister of FCT? They will shout his name. But as the minister of education, they might not even know him. They might not know his name.
There have been calls in recent years that this idea of state independent electoral commission is not working, that in fact is fraudulent and is tied to the apron string of governors, like you mentioned a while ago. On the basis of that, there's not the advocacy, the call, which has become even more vehement, that INEC should take up the responsibility of conducting elections even at the grassroots for chairmen and councillors. Is that the way to go?
I think so. You know why I think so? Just like I said, any state, if you look where any state that a party is the governor, they take over everything.
So if INEC took over the conduct of the elections, would that change?
Yes, it will change. You know what? Let me tell you. Now, there are two things that needs to happen. The current position of the federal government, this federal government, to say that they took even the state governors to court on the autonomy of the local government. If we are able to achieve that, because over the years, a lot of presidents...
I'm going to allow you to step on your brakes for a second, because we need to take a quick break. When we return, the conversation will continue. Please stay with us.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians. We are the Canaan because
that this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex. For an insight...
We appreciate you staying with us, everyone. So you were making a point a while ago. So would you just land on that narrative quickly? We're talking about whether or not if INEC should take over the role of states' independent electoral commissions, it will change the narrative?
Yes, like I said, it will. Because the powers that the governors wed, because governors don't do it. Okay, for instance, okay, thank God you are from Edo State. Last time elections were held, local government elections. You already know that the local government I come from, Onwa East, you can't dispute whether they won the election. In the areas Oshomole comes from, how do you say you won everything? So when you look at it, you know that yes, these are things that INEC, let the national INEC take responsibility for organizing these elections. Even if it means even if it means that INEC will now have state offices that is not under the control of the governors. You understand? So that there can be some semblance of... Yes, I'm not saying that there will not be any governor or any party who would have done well and the people who wants to vote for them and they can have all. But when it becomes so reoccurring, even non-performing governors are getting everything to themselves in terms of local government and council, it becomes worrisome. We truly want to build this democracy on the basis of people's choice, people's right to choice. Because democracy is about people's right to choice. if myself and yourself are contesting, whether you belong to party B or I belong to party Z, if the people feel that you are better than me, then that should speak through the ballot. You understand? But not because the people want you, but the governors want me. And the governor will just say anyhow, announce Comrade Abdul Wahab as the next local government chairman. Meanwhile, the people want Uyi. That's what we have been having. So I think if INEC takes over, I think it will be better for us. So that we reduce some of this power. Like I was also saying that if local government truly have autonomy, and their funding from the federal government, their allocation gets directly to them without the interference of the government. Because what currently happens is that they send their money to the joint allocation account committee of the state, which the governor is the signatory for that money.
He collects on behalf of the local government councils.
Yeah, you know, he will even, okay, when the money comes, now say, okay, you come and sign this amount that came, maybe 500 million came for you, they say, okay, sign. You have signed receipt. But they will collect your overhead of your staff and they give you small thing and just say, okay, hold 50 million, go. The other money are with the governor. That's the money they are using to do all manner of things. That's how they live. So this is wrong. But if local government truly gets the allocation directly, I will tell you, you will see what we used to experience those days, where you see local government having tractors working in farms, local government doing grading roads across the local government providing some basic amenities for its people, building health centers, because they now have the resources and they are truly in charge and in control of these resources. And I tell you, many people might not even want to be governors. They want to be local government champions.
Interesting.
People will be responsible.
Interesting, because what we see these days is as if local government councils can't even do beyond painting, numbering houses and all of that. I mean, they used to grade roads, they used to make roads, build markets, renovate, local healthcare centers and all of that. But we hope to return to those good days. But let's quickly turn to our second discussion right now. The narrative around June 12th, the commemoration itself, will not be complete unless, of course, we've talked about the man behind the whole idea, Chief MKO Abiola of blessed memory. It's 31 years officially tomorrow since that election was annulled, and Nigerians across board, end to end, have come to say that, look, that has become the most credible, the most transparent election in the history of this country. And then you are asking yourself, on what basis was it annulled? Of course, we've heard stories about the circumstances surrounding that very pivotal event. But today, Nigerians have not forgotten how that singular occurrence has shaped democracy in this country. So let's talk about MKO Abiola of blessed memory. Is Nigeria making him proud today when you look at the sacrifice he made to get this country to where it is now?
Honestly, if MKO can see Nigeria right now, I don't think he will be happy. Because this was a man, as at that time, he was the richest man in Africa. He was a man that held some countries' economy, for example, Gambia. He was a man that was a philanthropist to a fault, a man who contributed to building churches and building mosques, a man who defeated his arch-rival in the election in Kano. He defeated Alhaji Bashir Tofa in Kano, where he was from. This was a man who people truly voted for, not in secret, but in the open. We had what we call option A system then, where people, you just queue up behind the candidate you want. It's not secret ballot where you go and we now form our open secret. What is open secret? A secret is secret. There's no open secret. Any secret that is open, then is not secret. Now, that was open ballot system where you queue behind the candidate you want to elect, and numbers will be counted like this. That was the first time we truly democratized elections in this country. That was the first time people came out boldly to say, this is the man we want. That was the first time Nigerians were not thinking about religion and ethnicity. That was the first time Nigeria truly were ready to say, yes, we want democracy. And if you understand the times we were truly in a serious military regime where the military men who were in power were never ready to relinquish power, but they were just playing with Nigerians. And so that is why on that day, people from all walks of life across the nation came out and they voted overwhelmingly for a man who they see as hope, and as his campaign slogan then was Hope 93. A man who truly told us that we can truly be independent and produce what we eat and what we can grow whatever we want.
And even export.
And export. This was a man who was ready to sacrifice, that he was the pillar of sport. A man who was single-handedly sponsoring sports, not only in Nigeria, even across other African nations. And that was why he was given that title, the pillar of sports of Africa. A man who rose to fight for reparation for Africa, single-handedly. A man who made the then Organization of African Unity to set up a commission called Reparation Commission of the OAU, and MK Abiola was the chairman. A man who was the second black man after Nelson Mandela to address a purely white British parliament on the issue of reparation. A man who traveled wide and far in this country, in the world, to fight for the downtrodden. A man who, if you meet him, you wipe out your tears. A man who was not guided by where you come from or the religion you profess. Once you have a challenge and you meet MK Abiola, your challenges are over. We were very young. I was in school. And I know how we mobilize for that elections. And I tell you, till tomorrow, we lost a president that could have reshaped and refocused this country. Maybe if MK would have been president, we would have been where we are today. Because our democracy would have started on a very good footing, where people truly spoke their mind, where people truly expressed what they wanted, where people said no, and we say no to military rule. That was the first time, and I tell you, this man has not been honored enough. Save for President Muhammadu Buhari. After all, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo was our president. He's from the Southwest. He never deemed it
From the same state, even?
Yeah, he never deemed it fit to make mention, not to talk of recognizing MK Abiola as the hero of our democracy. But President Muhammadu Buhari, I must give it to him. He came and recognized MK Abiola, gave him the highest title, GCFR. And I believe, I don't know, because I don't have the information, whether he gave all the paraphernalia of a former president. Maybe the families will be receiving it, I don't know. But that singular act, and then he named the National Stadium
After him.
Chief MK Abiola. I think that's a step in the right direction. And I think we could do more. And he declared June 12th the real democracy.
Not May 29.
Not May 29. May 29 just a ceremonial day that, that's the day the president is sworn in. But he now truly made June 12th, which has been the agitation of so many civil societies, that June 12th should be made the Democracy Day. Muhammadu Buhari, President Muhammadu, made that possible. He declared June 12th as the Democracy Day, which is truly the Democracy Day of Nigeria. Because that is even the greatest honor to Chief MK Abiola, because he truly won this election. And some years after, Professor Humphrey Wolf, who was the then ANEC chairman, came to say that MK Abiola won the election. But that was
medicine after death.
Medicine after death. And recently I heard the IBB say that he was coerced by some emirs or whatever to annul the election. So these are the issues. MK Abiola, for me, has not been fully, we have not appreciated him enough. Because this man spent his hand-earned resources to do so many things for this country. And I think even the current president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, should do more. Let's look for another befitting national edifice to be named after Chief MK Abiola. If possible, the presidential villa should be named after him, because that is the symbol of democracy. It should be named after him, the presidential villa, that this is MK Abiola House. Yes, it's not too big, the presidential villa, because this is the man who opened our eyes to the fact that irrespective of where you come from, irrespective of your background, and if you check his background, he was from a very poor home, a man that sold firewood to be able to meet up his education. And he became one of the best accountants, a chartered accountant, the best brain. How did he get his appointment? He told he was AICC. He wrote an exam, and he was the best. So everything about him was based on merit. And when he made his money, he came back to his country and said, let me help my country. And if you check, you will realize that at that point, that time, the number of staff MK Abiola had, it was like a government on its own, because he had different establishments, from newspaper to airlines to different businesses, farms that he had. So the man was an employer of labor. And the man was a man who had passion for this country. And that was what he wanted. He said, I've attained everything. Nigeria has given me everything. Let me give back to Nigeria. And that was stopped by. That is the only thing till tomorrow. I'm not happy with President IBB. I am not. For annulling an election that all Nigerians were united to say, this is the man we want. But for some other selfish interest, you annul the election.
Is it true that the annulment of that election has occasioned a very significant proportion of voter apathy in this country? Some people say those who witnessed that incident have told themselves, I'll never vote in this country again. Is there any truth in that?
Well, voter apathy can be traced to a lot of factors. First, yes, there are people, there are very principled people in this country.
Right.
There are people that will say, haven't spent all our time and have hope, and you dash the hope, then there's no point. But I also want to use this media to appeal to such people, because democracy can only thrive when it is participatory.
Right.
Democracy can only thrive when people truly come in to participate actively. And there will be no democracy without the people. And like the way they describe democracy is the rule of the majority. So if the majority will not come out, then we have a challenge. Now, I tell people, yes, does it mean that because people die while flying, do we stop flying? People die in the river, for instance, do you stop drinking water? No, you can't stop. We need to continue to make the government do the right thing, to strengthen our democracy. Now, voter apathy, because of performance. Okay, some people, even from the last election, some people say, I will vote again. I've met so many of them. I will vote again. My candidate won. They didn't give this, that. Some people are still angry that, okay, based on that, they will vote. But I tell them, elections are only rigged and effectively rigged when you register and you don't go out to vote. They can vote on your behalf. But if 3 of us, for instance, we want to go into election, and 3 of us say we will not go out, and nobody goes out, they can't rig the election, because of course nobody came out. But once, if we agree, 1 of us goes out, then they can rig the election. Because you know why? Somebody came to vote, and it's on record that he voted. And he can decide that I voted for this, or I voted, and they can even add other people to him. And because during the court case, he will be a witness. He will say, no, I was there, I voted, so person voted, so person voted. They will not go. And these are the issues. Let people come out. The more we come out, the better for us.
Then there's the point some people try to make by saying that the man who is the precursor, so to say, to this democratic experience, talking about Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, came from the military background. And then you have also had former President Muhammadu Buhari doing 8 years, another retired general. They say these two individuals, as much as they tried their best to move the country from the point where they met it, also brought in military elements. For example, there was a time that the former President Muhammadu Buhari was attending an event by the NBA, the Nigerian Bar Association, and he said that the rule of law in certain circumstances, I mean, under certain circumstances, should be subject to national security. And that's actually, as it were, attracted the ire of many lawyers across this country. And people say beyond that, these two gentlemen have also created an infusion of some kind between democratic principles and their military backgrounds. Is that true?
Of course. A man has been a military man for 35 years. You know, the military is like, how will I put it? It's like, you know, there's a spirit when you join the military, because my uncle was a soldier, and I lived in the barracks. It's like something that is in the blood. When it gets it to you, it's in the blood. And these people, they are used to command and control. The military man is not that person that wants to tell you, please go and do that. He say, go and do that. He doesn't need to tell, please. There's no please, order. And they have a slogan, obey before complain. And that has been bribed into them from training, from day one through all the years they build in the military. So when they come out, that's why when they come out to civilian life, it's sometimes very difficult for them to cope, because they still keep giving orders that democratically are not carried out. Now, and that is the challenge of military. People like Obama, when they came into power, you know, you can no longer give that authority, say, go and do this. It has to go to National Assembly.
So they become constrained.
Yeah, they become constrained. But in some instances, they still, because it is part of them, you cannot take it away from them. Like the remark you referred to from former President Muhammadu Buhari. Yes, he said, there are things that the rule of law, if it's going to affect national security, then national security should be taken above it. That's what he was trying to say, that the national security of the country is more important than every other thing. And you know why he's saying that? Because of his background. He's a military man. He believes that everything is about defense. You have to defend everything that concerns this country. That's how their mind has been built. That's how they have been conditioned. So they think that way. That no, you need to protect. You need to make sure that the sanctity of this country remains intact. Anything that wants to disrupt it must not be allowed to happen. That was, but we were here in this country too. Obasanjo, if Obasanjo during his time, if he tells you, were we not here when he arranged back all the State House of Assembly members of Bayelsa, took them and they impeached the governor? That was the hand of the president.
Alamesia.
Yes, they impeached him. Were we not also here when the president will say, okay, when any Senate president does anything, before you know, they remove him? Were we not also here where even the national chairman, he was just changing them as if they were just his boys. Remove this, put this, remove this. These were authoritarian actions that in a democracy wasn't supposed to happen. The Senate president, in fact, the day he removed, before he removed Okadigbo, he went to eat Paradiam in his house. And the next day, Okadigbo was out as president of the Senate. You understand? So these are some of the military tendencies, elements that are in them. When they don't want to, they are very tactical in their approach. They will not talk to you that. They will be laughing with you, but they will use their men to take you off the seat. And that's what. So in his time, the Southeast who produced the Senate, president of the Senate, the whole 5 states produced president of the Senate. He started from Imo, Evans Ewere. You understand? After Evans Ewere, it was Wabara that came in. Can't remember, but Wabara was from Abia. Before you know it, what's his name? Ayim from Ebonyi. Then you have Ken Namani from Enugu. Then there's another one, Abia. Who was that from Abia? The 5 presented. The 5 states of the Southeast presented.
Produced any president?
Yeah, produced president of the Senate. You know, in just 8 years of one regime. The same party, not different party. One party, one president. He changed the Senate president 5 times across the 5 states of the Southeast. So what I was talking about, was that democratic? No. These were presidential influence to influence the legislature, and he got his way.
So how do we strengthen our democracy on the final note? How do we make our democracy begin to work in ways that the everyday Nigerian can see the real dividends?
Nigerians must wake up. citizens. See, let me tell you, the Constitution, even as bad as it is, it has said that Section 14, subsection 2B of the Nigerian Constitution says that the primary purpose of government is the security and welfare of the people. And the same Constitution says that government derives its power from the people. Nigerian citizens needs to wake up. I must be frank with you. For me, every time we talk about government, governance, I believe that the greatest problem lies in us as citizens, because we have truly not exhibited or demonstrated responsibility as a people. A people get a government they deserve.
So we deserve this one?
Yes, because we are the ones that bring the government, and we are the one that gives them power. And how do I mean? You must agree that over the years, the awareness, political awareness in this country now has risen so high. That's why you can now see that youths are now very involved in our democratic process. And now people are getting more aware. But the only thing they have failed to do is to organize. When we truly organize, I tell you, no government will fuck or will play with us. When we truly organize. When government knows, when those you elected knows that you can remove them, they will sit up. But because they know that you, when they come and give you small money, you look the other way and begin to sing praises. So we are still a problem. So we must stomach our hunger. Even though I know we are hungry, we must stomach our hunger to do the right thing, because the resultant effect of the right thing will fill your stomach tomorrow. But if you do the wrong thing today, it's just for a short time. You have this money, and before you know it, the country is bastardized. Let people truly stand up to organize. Organize ourselves. Let's know what we want. Let me tell you, for instance, in our villages, you see somebody makes money from nowhere, you don't know his source, but once he comes home, the traditional ruler gives him a title, and you know that people know that this man is a ritualist. You give him the highest title of the village. Then he becomes a model to others. Now, as I speak to you in our area, Yahoo boys are taking over everywhere. People 16, 17, 18, 20 years at most. They are driving cars of 10 million, 20 million, building houses of 100 millions. These people don't have it. They didn't even go to school. And these are the people now that are now the role models for younger ones. My small children in my village will tell me now that education is a scam. Are we not in trouble? We are. We should organize. I tell you, you see, even this recall process they put for legislators or whatever, if we are organized, no matter how strenuous it is, we can recall somebody. And we have never done example to recall anybody, even when they underperform.
But there was an attempt in Kogi under former Governor Yahya Bello.
That's what I'm saying. We are not serious. We are not. Okay, you see somebody do wrong things, some people are protesting, others will go and protest for him. So,
like a counter protest.
Yes, a counter protest, because we are not organized. If we are organized and have one voice, today we say, okay, look, I have always told people, I was in a forum, I said, look, the challenge we have is that we don't unite for our common problems. If we unite for our common problems, no government can withstand. Right now, Nigerians are suffering. They are hungry. If all the people, because even those in Sokoto are suffering, the ones in Edo are suffering, the ones in Enugu are suffering. It's not restricted to one region. Not that even in Lagos, people are suffering. So it's not because president is from Lagos, everybody is enjoying. It's not true. Nigeria, if we come together for our common challenges, I say let's face government, I swear government will do the right thing.
I'd like to say a big thank you to you, Abdul Wahab Ekekide, public affairs analyst, for coming to share these very valuable insights with us on the program this morning. We're taking another quick break, the very last for the program this morning, but we understand Anthony Mamadou has put together for us sports updates. Enjoy it. Queen Agaba and I will be back shortly to wrap up the show for you.